What does it really mean to be conscious in this world? I'm not talking about being awake or alert. I'm talking about a deeper kind of awareness, the kind where you actually notice your life while you are living it, where you feel your thoughts, your choices, and your surroundings. And you ask, wow, am I reacting or responding to life? So for me, this genuine question has changed everything because I've realized, I can be breathing, walking, and talking to someone, but I can still be not fully there. And yet, in certain moments, when I'm truly present, I feel more alive, more connected, and more kind. So in this video, I want to explore this idea with you. What does being conscious really look like in daily life? And not in theory, but in small, honest moments. And I'll be doing it by answering some questions that I thought about. And maybe you have thought about these questions and you ask yourself as well. So let's get started. So question one, have you ever caught yourself living on autopilot? So to me, as a parent, I have three children. Um, they are between 8 to teenagers. So sometimes, as a parent, you drop them off to school, you pick them up. There are like a certain routines that you go through. And you will have those feelings that, you just go through in the whole process. Day after day, school days, pick up, drop off, and then you go to work. And you do feel a little like stuck at times. Like, oh, okay, what about my time? Right? I mean, if you're honest about it and if you are a parent now or have been a parent, you know the drill. Okay. Because consistency is important for children too. And of course, you don't want to be so rigid, but at the same time, consistency, having a schedule, going through the daily lives is very important. It makes it predictable and it makes it structured. And then I think in general, it's good for everyone. But you do have the feelings, or at least myself, I have sometimes, you're going through this process. So to me, I think, yes, that part is autopilot, but it doesn't end there. So it might sound like that I am sharing in a very gloomy way, but I'm not. I do sit down and reflect, sometimes talking with my wife, and we have this mutual understanding. And I came to realize that being conscious of it is like I'm not negating or denying this type of inner feeling at times. But I think there are certain wisdom comes with that too when I'm not denying this inner feeling is I understand it. And I also understand that this is my journey, as a parent, going through this stage. This is a phase in my life because they will eventually grow up. They will become adults. They will have their own lives. And at that time, if you want to spend time with them, they may not be free. So yes, as a parent, you do feel like sometimes because of the routine, especially with your children, myself, take my daughter to volleyball, take my son to martial art, and take my other son to scouting. He's in Cub Scout. You go through like an autopilot, especially when school starts, during school season. But at the same time, uh, like I share, the wisdom is that this is the phase in my life. I do really enjoy it, but certain times you do feel like you're on autopilot. But that's not just it. Life is very dynamic. I mean, if you just fixate the negative, I would even say it's negative, but if you feel like the the drag only, then it's not, that's not just all it is. So I think opening up my awareness, noticing, not denying that feeling, um, that, that kind of aspect of autopilot, but it's not entirely just that. It doesn't define me. It doesn't define my life, especially this phase. And I do really enjoy it. So that's my answer to that question. What exactly, second question, what exactly does it really mean to be conscious? Well, I think it's not as difficult. To me, it's just to be really conscious, I think is to really understand more deeply about oneself. So about myself. Just take my example, like, as a parent, I understand that's part of my role. It doesn't define me entirely. I understand. I do reflect on more deeply the different aspect of being a parent, but also reflect deeply what I want to continue to do with my life, what do I want to contribute to with my time and effort. I think understanding that and commit my time and effort knowingly to where I want to devote my time and effort is very important. That's to me. Being conscious of it and also being conscious that it's not always like so bright and shine. It's not like sunlight every day. There will be distractions. I think being conscious is also understanding and seeing my own flaws and understanding that every day I'm trying and embracing the imperfection of myself, like being conscious of the whole me. So to me, that's really uh, understanding exactly what it really means to be conscious, like not denying, not hiding. I mean, you don't have to like share with everyone in the social media. That's the reason I'm just doing this video, doing the Hello Kindness channel is I feel it's beneficial for people to know. I think in this world, it's beneficial to share more mindfulness and how we can integrate ourselves fully. And that's the whole purpose of this channel. Number three, does being conscious mean we have to be perfect? No. Like I said, or what I just shared, I shared about the internal struggles, challenges, and confrontation to one's deeper self. So I don't think it's to be perfect at all. I think, in a way, imperfection is perfection. Like embracing imperfection is your path to become more whole, more perfect. Does it make sense? Embracing your imperfection is your path to perfection. But I still think, at least in my capacity, there's no perfection in life. Okay. But I guess the attitude to be better is a good way of thinking, but also embracing now. I'm looking at that side because it's so beautiful. There's like dark clouds all over, but in the center, it was a circle and it has the blue sky. So all the dark clouds are in the circle. And then while I'm recording this, it's so funny. That circle becomes a heart like this. Okay. I guess it's for you. Okay. The heart. And then I have this thought right now, realization that, hey, change is a part of life every moment. So from a circle to a heart, that blue sky, all around is dark cloud. Circle to heart, and now to like glasses. And it becomes a heart again. So anyway, that's a little spontaneous. Spontaneous. Question 4. What helps me come back to the present when I drift? Um, what comes up in my mind right now is meditation. The practice of meditation and mindfulness. I do like formal sit down meditation for I think over 10 years now. Formal meditation in the morning, sit down 10 to 20 minutes before bedtime. I do that. I do active walking meditation. I think that really helps me come back when I drift. So drift in a physically drift or, mind in, when it talks about when I drift, it's like when I get lost track or distracted, how I can come back to the present. Because I think meditation is a technique or method through that process is learning about yourself, being in the present moment. I think like really understanding everything is interconnected. When you start to understand yourself better, it kinds of like you have a silent observer slash protector, this all powerful, ever present being that you're connected to. You're part of the whole that guides you. When you drift, you're able to come back and notice that drift. I remember Jim Carrey one time in his talk sharing, it's like I had that feeling the same way he described beautifully. It's like there's like one day to him, he said he noticed this joyful feeling within himself. He was so conscious of that, observant of his inner peace, inner joy. But he also noticed and questioned at that moment, what is this power or intelligence that notice his own joy in a very sort of objective way, like kind of watching from above? What is this ever present power, intelligence? He described it like that. And he joked around that. Ever since then, every day he's trying his best to find that moment again. But we as humans, I think, is trying every day, accepting our flaws that we're learning every day and embracing it. So yeah, meditation is a technique that I commit myself every day, no matter how short. I try to not break. I do give credit to myself in staying consistent with it, and I think that's how it really helped me strengthen my inner muscle. That every time I drift, I have this um, ever present awareness that helps me come back. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes I drift it longer. Sometimes I get distracted longer. But I do notice that it helps me come back. And lastly, how would the world change if more people lived consciously? Well, I think if we more people live consciously, the entire universe, or at least in our world, will definitely change. There will be no wars. Collectively, we'll work on the toughest problems. We'll literally elevate it to a different world. The stories, the movies that you see, I think collectively we are on a path to collectively rise to a higher level of consciousness. I have no doubts about that. There are traces that we are walking that. No matter how slow we feel, we are making that progress. No matter how sometimes we feel like we're falling back, we are pushing the momentum. I have no doubts about that, and we are all contributed to that. And there are proofs that we are doing that. Books like The Map of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins, it talks about that. I completely recommend that book, The Power versus Force. He described that in more details, and I completely agree with that. So because I'll give you one example, how would the world change? Just talk about road rage. Accidents happen because we are acting out of our emotions, and people would stop and get out of the car, argue, profanity, and then sometimes terrible things happen, right? We saw that on the news. You can pull up a lot of social media. You can see that. And again, we don't have to be perfect. We all have this, you can call it darker side or side that we don't like about ourselves. But a lot of the teachings, like I said, through meditations and mindfulness practice, we come to understand as we learn from all these great teachings. We all have this part within ourselves, but it doesn't mean that we need to allow that to hijack us and completely overtake our other part of ourselves, right? So let's take the road rage as an example. If we live more consciously, if someone cut in front of you, you got really angry, one scenario is to get out of the car, argue, fight, or even more terrible things happen. But what if you notice, like you said, if the world changed and people live more consciously, at the moment that you sense your anger, you watch yourself, you notice your anger. And maybe you can even have with practice, you also notice the anger on the other side, but you also offer compassion and empathy. Notice that there might be many things that led up to that. They have a bad day, you have a bad day. That already means you have a pause. Pause, notice, and return. that is more than enough to prevent maybe some tragedy happening. And if we take that to the next step, like the wars that we're going in, between countries, between different philosophies, either physical wars, digital wars, economic wars. If we live more consciously, we should know that that is not building a better world, right? We can go on and on and on and talk about that. But yeah, if we all learn to live more consciously, which I have no doubt that we're ever moving slowly, but we are definitely progressing because there are a lot of traces, and I can talk about in subsequent videos, but definitely we are moving towards that direction. So yeah, so those are the 5 questions I reflected on. Maybe some of you have reflected on too. And I really want to thank you for spending time. If you stayed till this far, uh, give us some encouragement. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. The more you subscribe and associate with our channels, the more we will be seen by more people. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.